You're doing everything right. The dates, the attention, the effort, and still, something's missing. She's there, but not really there. And you can feel it. You see it in how she scrolls her phone while you're talking. How she says, "That's nice," when you share something that matters. How the conversations that used to last hours now die after 10 minutes. You're not imagining it. Here's what's actually happening. You're meeting the needs she says she has, the ones she can name, the obvious ones. Romance, security, emotional support. But underneath, there are needs she can't articulate, needs that live in the space between what she says and what she actually craves. And when those invisible needs go unmet, she doesn't complain. She doesn't fight. She just fades. You've seen this before, maybe with her, maybe with someone else. That slow drift where you're doing everything right, but losing her anyway. And the worst part? You can't fix what you can't see. But here's what nobody's telling you. There are 7 needs, 7 invisible needs that separate the men women stay with from the men they quietly leave. The men who understand these, they become irreplaceable. The men who don't, they end up confused, asking, "What did I do wrong?" When the answer is, you did everything right, on the surface. So let's talk about what she's actually craving. First, she needs permission to stop performing. Think about her day. Really think about it. At work, she's navigating politics. With friends, there's this unspoken competition about who's got it together. On social media, she's curating. With family, she's managing expectations, playing the role they need her to play. By the time she gets to you, she's been on for 12 hours straight. And what she needs, what she's desperate for but can't ask for, is to finally stop. To be uncertain, to be tired, to not have all the answers. But here's where you're failing her. You see her strength and think, she's got it covered. You mistake her competence for not needing rest. So you pile on, more plans, more decisions for her to make, more situations where she has to be the composed, put-together woman everyone expects. And she never tells you to stop, because admitting she can't handle it feels like weakness. So she just handles it, until the resentment builds, until being around you feels like one more performance she has to give. You feel that, right? That distance? Second, she needs intellectual challenge without competition. She's tired of men who either talk down to her or turn every conversation into a contest. Explaining things she already knows, or feeling threatened when she knows something you don't. What she actually wants? Someone who can think with her, who asks questions that make her reconsider her views, who can disagree without making it personal. But you're probably doing one of 2 things right now. Either you're dumbing yourself down to make her feel smart, or you're subtly correcting her to establish dominance. Both kill attraction. Because she doesn't want a teacher or a student. She wants a peer, an equal who challenges her without diminishing her. And when's the last time you had a conversation with her that actually made you think differently? Third, she needs you to have your own life. This is the one that nice guys get devastatingly wrong. You think devotion means making her the center of everything, canceling plans, being available 24/7, organizing your entire world around her schedule. And at first, maybe she likes the attention. But eventually, it becomes a weight she has to carry. Because a man who dissolves into a relationship loses the very thing that made him attractive: his individuality. She doesn't want to be your whole world. She wants to enhance a world that already exists. When you cancel on your friends to see her for the third week in a row, when you drop your hobbies because they take time away from her, when your identity becomes her boyfriend instead of who you actually are, you're not showing love, you're showing desperation. And she can feel the difference. Now here's where it gets worse. Because you're not just missing these needs, you're actively creating the distance you're trying to close. Fourth, she needs you to notice what she doesn't say. And you're not. You take "I'm fine" at face value. You miss the shift in her energy when you mention that coworker's name. You don't notice that she's been quieter for 3 days. Women communicate in layers. What she says is the surface. What she means lives underneath. And she's not doing this to test you or be difficult. She's doing it because she needs to know if you're actually paying attention, if you care enough to look deeper. When she says, "Do whatever you want" about dinner plans, she's not being easygoing. She's exhausted from making decisions all day and wants you to take the lead without her having to ask. When she mentions her mom's comment about her weight like it's funny, she's not laughing. She's hurt and waiting to see if you notice. When she goes quiet after you dismiss her concerns with "you're overthinking it," she's not letting it go. She's cataloging it, adding it to the list of times you couldn't see her. And that list? It's getting longer. Because here's the brutal truth. You're having surface-level conversations with someone who needs to be understood at depth. And the distance you feel? That's her pulling back, because you keep proving you're not looking close enough. But it gets even more complicated. Fifth, she needs autonomy without abandonment. This is the paradox that's destroying you right now. When she asks for space, you give her distance, thinking you're respecting her boundaries. But what she actually needs is for you to give her room to breathe while still showing up, to support her independence while making it clear she's not doing life alone. You're swinging to extremes. Either you're hovering, needing to know where she is, who she's with, creating this suffocating energy that makes her feel trapped, or you're completely hands-off, mistaking indifference for giving her space. So when she goes out with friends, you don't text at all, thinking you're being cool, not clingy. But she's checking her phone, wondering why you haven't reached out, wondering if you even care that she's gone. Or the opposite, you're texting every hour asking when she'll be home, and she's showing her friends your messages, embarrassed by how needy you sound. You can't find the middle ground, the place where she feels free and chosen, and she's losing respect for you because of it. Sixth, she needs you to have boundaries, and you don't. You agree to things that bother you. You bend to every request. You've never said, "No, that crosses a line for me." Not once. You think this makes you accommodating, easy to be with, the opposite of those difficult guys she's complained about. But here's what's actually happening. She's losing respect for you. Because a man without boundaries is a man without substance, someone she can shape into whatever she needs in the moment, but never actually respect. Every time you say, "whatever you want," when you actually have a preference, you're teaching her your opinion doesn't matter. Every time you tolerate disrespect because you don't want to rock the boat, you're showing her you don't value yourself. And she's watching, testing how far she can push before you finally stand up for yourself. The problem is, you never do. So she keeps pushing, not because she wants to hurt you, but because she's desperate to find the floor. To hit the point where you say, enough. And when you don't, when there's no bottom to how much you'll tolerate, she can't trust you. Because if you won't protect yourself, how can you protect her? But all of this, every single thing we've talked about, stems from one core problem. The one that's poisoning everything else. Seventh, you need her, and that's why she's leaving. Not wants her, needs her. For your happiness, for your validation, for your sense of worth. And she can feel it. The way you need her to text back. The way your mood shifts based on hers. The way your entire emotional state depends on whether she's pleased with you. You think you're showing her how much she matters, but what you're actually showing her is that you can't stand on your own. That's the weight she's carrying. Your emotional stability, your happiness, your self-worth. And it's exhausting. Because here's what you don't understand. Needing someone and wanting someone are completely different energies. Needing comes from lack, from I can't function without you. Wanting comes from abundance, from my life is full and you make it better. And women can smell the difference immediately. When you need her, every interaction becomes transactional. You're not spending time with her because you enjoy her company. You're doing it to fill the void inside you. Your affection isn't a gift. It's a down payment on the validation you need from her. Your compliments aren't observations. They're bids for reassurance that she still wants you. And she feels the weight of that. The responsibility of being your source of happiness. The burden of knowing that if she's having a bad day, you'll spiral. This is why nice guys finish last. Not because women want to be treated badly, but because nice guys are usually just needy guys in disguise. The guy who seems indifferent, he's not actually indifferent. He just has a life that exists whether she's in it or not. And that's attractive. Not because she wants to be ignored, but because she wants to be chosen, not needed. So here's the question that's been eating at you. Why does trying harder make it worse? This is why. Every effort you make comes from need, from scarcity, from please don't leave me. And the more you try, the more desperate you seem. The more you text, the needier you look. The more you do for her, the more it feels like you're trying to earn her affection instead of offering it freely. You're not failing because you don't care enough. You're failing because you care too much about the wrong things. You care about keeping her, not about being someone worth keeping. You care about avoiding conflict, not about building genuine respect. So what do you actually do with this? Here's the truth you need to accept. You can't meet her invisible needs until you meet your own. Every need we've talked about, the need to stop performing, the need for intellectual challenge, the need for autonomy without abandonment, you can only give these things when you're whole yourself. So here's what changes right now. First, build a life that's complete without her. Not to punish her, not to create distance, but because the most attractive thing you can offer is choosing her from a place of wholeness, not need. Get back to the hobbies you dropped. Reconnect with friends you've been ignoring. Pursue goals that have nothing to do with the relationship. When she sees you thriving independent of her, that's when she stops feeling like your entire world and starts feeling like she enhances a world that already exists. And that shift, that's what makes her want to stay. Second, create space by being present, not by hovering. When she needs autonomy, give her room, but show up in the small ways that prove you're still there. A text that says, "Have fun tonight," instead of, "When will you be home?" Asking about her day because you're genuinely curious, not because you need proof she still cares. This is the balance: freedom and connection, space and presence. She gets to be independent, and you get to be the man who supports that without disappearing. Third, develop boundaries that prove self-respect. Start saying no to things that cross your lines. Not aggressively, not defensively, just clearly. "I love you, but I'm not okay with this. I hear what you're saying, but that doesn't work for me." Watch what happens. She might push back at first, test the boundary, but underneath, she's relieved. Because finally, she's seeing the floor. The place where you respect yourself enough to stop bending. And that's when respect starts to rebuild. Fourth, notice what she's not saying. Pay attention to the energy shifts, the things she mentions once and never brings up again. The moments when "I'm fine" doesn't match what you're seeing. Ask the deeper question. You said you're fine, but something feels off. What's really going on? That level of presence, that's what creates the intimacy she's been craving. Now, I need you to do something. Repeat after me. I am enough on my own. Say it. I am enough on my own. Say it again and mean it. I am enough on my own. One more time, like you believe it. I am enough on my own. Because until you believe that, until you know that your worth doesn't depend on her choosing you, you'll keep meeting her surface needs while the invisible ones go starving. These 7 needs we've talked about, they're not tricks, they're not manipulation. They're what happens when you become a man who's whole enough to see someone else clearly, who can give her permission to rest because you're not exhausting her with your need, who can challenge her intellectually because your ego isn't threatened by her intelligence, who can give her space because you have your own life to return to, who can read what she's not saying because you're present enough to notice, who can offer autonomy without abandonment because you know the difference between connection and control, who can maintain boundaries because you respect yourself, who can want her without needing her because you're already complete. If this hit you, if you see yourself in this and you're ready to become the man who meets these invisible needs, hit that like button. Share this with someone who's stuck in the same patterns, and subscribe because we're just getting started on understanding what it actually takes to build something real in a world that's forgotten how. You're not trying to manipulate anyone. You're trying to become someone worth choosing. And that starts with choosing yourself first. Now go meet those needs, the ones nobody else even knows exist.